I have a somewhat tumultuous relationship with stun as a mechanic. It has capacity to be a good system when characters are given enough tools to engage with it, and the stun state itself offers up a wide array of unique interactions. But sometimes it feels like its purpose is to let a player win more, and that to me is just a bit dull. So let's break it down. Can stun be interesting? Without proper consideration, stun essentially lets you continue what you are already doing. The adjustments needed to actually stun an opponent depending on the game can be nothing. You do the combo that you were already going to do, and then you do another combo. There is, however, slight room for optimization. In Street Fighter V, for example, you might want to go for a reset rather than stunning your opponent with a big combo. This is because the damage scaling of whatever you did to get this stun will apply to the combo after. Basically, less hits equals more damage with a touch more risk. The problem being that inevitably when someone is getting close to stun, they're probably low health anyway. As a consequence, just finishing your B&B then tacking on the extra damage and meter gain from a stun combo makes a lot of sense, especially when the alternative can potentially mean that you eat a reversal or at very least lose momentum. It's not a simple equation certainly, but the room for expression is at least limited. One thing I do like is that this ability to reset that final hit of stun is most effective on certain characters. It gives another purpose to things like instant overheads or command grabs, and that is great for a character's mechanical identity. Also, some characters get really interesting combos and setups off of stun, with Urien probably being the best example. He can do things that are impossible in regular play, capitalizing on the extended knockdown, and that is great. But do these positives outweigh the potential feeling of helplessness that a player has after getting hit by a couple of combos into dizzy into another combo? Maybe. For the characters that actually utilize the stun system properly, sure, but for the others, yeah, it just feels like a win more condition, and in a game with Oki and Meter, I'm not really sure how many more of those we need. Another issue I have is the lack of high health stuns, which is a thing in other games. Ryu in Third Strike has his Denjin Hadouken, an unblockable chargeable fireball that primarily does stun damage and forces the opponent to parry, which isn't easy. Meter carries between rounds, meaning he can do this to you when you're on full health. Plus, as he charges the super, he'll gain more stun, giving different purposes to each level. Maybe you just want to tap their stun bar and follow up with some big mix. Perhaps you've got them scared and they'll just wait there trying to parry while you charge. This super alone is more engaging by itself than most games' entire stun systems, which is a bit of a shame. First Strike also has universal mechanics to make the post-stun situation more interesting. If you stun someone with a move that leaves them airborne, you can continue hitting them for combos that are entirely exclusive to the stun state. It's not just doing your B&B with an added jump in. It's especially cool because it gives utility to certain attacks that are otherwise unremarkable. Grabs that allow for single hits afterwards suddenly sprawl into exciting combo potential, and what maybe gives you an air reset normally is now part of some terrifying, entirely unique B&B. Bafael actually has a fantastic video detailing this entire system, which if you're interested, I highly recommend watching. I'll put it below in the links. If I had to pick a game with the most interesting stun system though, I'd have to give it to Karnov's Revenge. Now, I want you to note down that word interesting in the last sentence. Is it the most balanced? Probably not. But it is, however, truly unique and damn exciting to explore, which for me are two of the most important qualities of any mechanic. Balance cannot be our only value system here. To start off, strangely, in this game, there is no stun bar, not even a hidden one. Instead, what we have are weak points. Each character has a unique item of clothing or part of their body with its own separate hurt box. They're unique to every member of the cast too. Karnov's is his necklace, Ray's is the icon on his shirt, Marstorius has one in his feet. Everyone's got one, and everyone's is slightly different, not just in positioning but in size too. If you can hit these weak points 2 times during a round, you'll see it begin to flash white, and on that third hit, you'll stun them, and anything you do after that will do 1.5 times damage. What is wild is that it doesn't matter what you hit them with. Jabs, fireballs, anti-airs, they all work, and it only takes 3 hits. I kind of love how universal this is. No matter your character's archetype, getting stuns is very practical, and it's not just a mechanic reserved for those of us who like to rush down. And let me tell you, zoning someone perfectly and getting rewarded with a stun feels incredible. Those hurtbox positions matter too. Bastorius, who has his weak spot in his feet, is incredibly exposed when jumping because just about every anti-air is going to count as a tick towards stun. However, play someone like Mizuguchi who has it in his head, and suddenly the risk reward has shifted massively in matchups where you need to anti-air with normals. Obviously, this doesn't just impact the air game. Your choice of pokes will change too according to where the opponent is vulnerable. Maybe you won't change everything about your game plan because a good poke is a good poke regardless of stun potential, but it is certainly a consideration. Things get even more fascinating when we consider combos. Those 3 attacks don't have to come from individual hits. If you combo the opponent and all attacks connect with the weak spot, they're stunned. Which sounds broken, right? Well, they actually have another system for this, and it's called stance shift. When you're in block or hit stun in this game, you're able to swap between crouching and standing. Depending on the location of your weak spot, this can massively shift the hurtbox's placement, and this is impossibly important. Let's take a really simple example, Rei versus Mizuguchi. This is Rei's B&B, and it does a chunk of damage. Normally when you're getting hit by any combo in just about every other 2D traditional fighter, you hold down back. But if you do it here, this B&B becomes a stun combo, doing grotesque amounts of damage. This is because Mizuguchi's weak spot is in his headband, and crouching brings it down to the height of Rei's standing heavy punch and tackle hitbox. Instead, you need to react to getting hit and stand block. You'll still take damage, but now the stun isn't an immediate issue. The other side of this matchup is interesting too. Mizuguchi has an incredible free hitting reversal, which is fast and can be pretty tricky to punish. If you get hit by this move and remain standing, it's an instant stun. But if you crouch, only the first hit will actually connect with your weak spot, making it a pretty important reaction and knowledge check. There are even some more complex examples. Against this Karnov B&B, if I get hit and remain standing, it's a stun. If I crouch, I'm able to avoid standing B, and this leaves me only 1 hit away from stun. But if I crouch first, then stand to avoid the lower hits of the 100 kicks, I'm instead 2 hits away from stun. And that's a huge difference despite its appearance. It is sadly very rare for fighting games to offer us choices when we're being hit. You normally just sit there and take it. Perhaps you can do something on your wake up, but that's about all you can hope for. Stance Shift sits as a gold standard along with DI from Smash, Burst from Guilty Gear, and Combo Breaker from Killer Instinct as actual interesting gameplay for the defender while you're being smacked up. It's no longer a cutscene and instead a playground for both execution and mind games. Even though it doesn't really come up in this game because most people would rather take the knockdown, but you could even reset them. You know they're holding back to avoid the stun, reset into another low, why not? Not only is it giving us choice while getting hit as the defender, but it also gives us a way to negate stun, which is sadly so rare. Normally the way of avoiding stun is basically just don't get hit again, or maybe in more modern titles do some kind of alpha counter, which is fine, but as you can see here with stance shifting, it can be way more nuanced than this. The potential is there, developers just have to implement it. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. If you're playing someone like Martorius who has a weak spot on his feet, I hope you're ready to eat 3 lows into a stun just about every time they get a hit in just about every matchup. But despite it maybe not being fully realized, this is actually an interesting version of stun, and one that I highly recommend playing around with because it is so rare to find something this truly unique. If you do want to get into this game, there's a couple of good starting points. The Super Combo Wiki is pretty amazing at jump-starting the learning process, giving you all the system knowledge you could need, plus a lot of basics for the whole cast. Beyond that, of course, you have the fantastic and very active Discord, which I'll link below, and for netplay/T mode, you want to get yourself on FightK2. And to top it off, I want to give a big thanks to PolarBair and the general Karnov's Discord for help with this video. It would not have been possible without them, so go give them your love.